Good to have you with us on Business Daily, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Lee Ji-yoon. And before we get started, let's first take a quick look at what you can expect from us this morning. Expert insight on what Korea should expect after having joined the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank last month. Large retailers and small vendors team up to find new opportunities together. The Korean government will step up efforts to help more families struggling to find a place to live by revising its mortgage program for low-income households. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said Monday that it will cut interest rates for housing deposit and mortgage loans by a maximum of 0.5 percentage points. Its loan program for those looking to secure key money will be expanded to include newlyweds with higher income levels and fresh graduates. The retailing comes as working-class people in Korea are struggling to find affordable housing amid soaring prices for jeonse, or lump sum deposit homes. Korean car makers have seen a dramatic drop in automobile exports in the first quarter of this year. The Korea Automobile Manufacturers Association says that the total number of cars sent overseas stood at roughly 735,000 in the first quarter, down 6.6% year-on-year. With this sudden decline, export value also fell by 9% compared to the same period a year ago. The association says the weak yen for Japanese car makers and slow growth in emerging markets contributed to this sluggish performance. And despite the gains the Kospi has recorded so far this year, data shows the earnings rate of Korea's main index still only came in at mid-range compared to its worldwide counterparts. According to data from the Korea Exchange, through the 3rd of this month, the Kospi grew by 6.78%, or nearly 130 points higher since the beginning of this year. But that put it only at 22nd out of the indices of 46 countries. Experts attribute unimproved fundamentals as well as the slumping economy for this trend. Now, creating the right environment for large retailers and small vendors to coexist has been an ongoing challenge for many years here in Korea. Things got even harder for traditional market vendors and small businesses when mega store chains were introduced in the country. But such large retailers have also been experiencing a setback in business due to more recent regulations restricting their operating hours. So, both sides decided to team up to find new opportunities together. Our Lee Ji-young tells us more.
This 빈대떡 shop that sells Korean-style mung bean pancakes is nestled in one of Korea's many traditional markets. It had gone through some rough patches with this business, but since reaching a deal with E-Mart, one of Korea's largest mega stores, the shop owner says business has never been better.
We were not well known throughout Korea. We were also at a disadvantage in terms of location, being tucked away inside a traditional market. But since we joined hands with E-Mart, we now have the opportunity to become a national brand.
A report by the Federation of Korean Industry says this deal has generated about $800,000 in sales since 2013.
Given the current state of the economy, instead of competing with each other, it's more important to find ways for small and large firms to coexist.
Large retail stores are also looking beyond traditional market vendors and teaming up with small and mid-sized companies as well. Another large retailer, Lotte Mart, has co-developed a brand with the mid-sized company by using goods produced by the smaller firm and adding to it its marketing know-how. Over the past 2 years alone, their cooperation has generated at least $38 million in sales. Another co-developed brand put out sales of worth $9 million. By employing such methods, businesses, big and small, have been able to create new opportunities for cooperation to create a better outlook for growth. Lee Ji-young, Arirang News.
The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or AIIB, is currently receiving great attention in the global world of finance. Over 50 countries have already confirmed membership for the bank that will support infrastructure development in Asia. Led by China, this development bank is regarded by many as a rival to the World Bank. While Japan officially turned down its membership, Korea confirmed it will join just 5 days before the deadline. With different interests and complicated relations in the mix surrounding this bank, what will Korea's role be going forward?
And amid questions on whether or not the AIIB will be able to compete with or complement the U.S.-led World Bank and Japan-led Asia Development Bank, South Korea has thrown in its hat into the ring to join the AIIB. And to tell us more about how this will all affect South Korea, the Catholic University of Korea's Professor Yang Jun-seok joining us this morning. Good to have you here with us.
Happy to be here.
All right, so first to start off, so over 50 countries, that's a lot. They have decided to join this AIIB, and Korea also joined the ride despite concerns from its close ally, the U.S. So what can Korea expect from joining the AIIB?
Well, AIIB is meant to be a multilateral regional development bank for infrastructure projects. Now, Korea has been interested in exporting construction services, a lot of which is infrastructure services. For example, highways or nuclear plants. Now, the way that these multilateral banks usually work, not always, but usually work, is that if you want to get financing from these banks, you have to have this project in a member country, and the company which is carrying out this project also has to their mother country also has to be a member of that bank. So, for example, until Korea became a member of Inter-American Development Bank in 2005, Korean companies had a lot of trouble financing projects in Latin America. So this will give us another option to finance infrastructure projects. For Korean firms, at least.
Well, then, does this pull the plug on President Park Geun-hye's creating of Northeast Asian Development Bank?
Okay, well, the Northeast Development Bank was an idea that President Park had. If North Korea gives up its nuclear capabilities, then Korea, China, and Japan will help North Korea develop through this development bank. Well, the government officials are claiming that this is complementary, so we can go ahead with both projects at once. But I think AIIB does take a bit of an air out of it, so it'll take longer for the bank to get established. But eventually, either through the AIIB or setting up the Northeast Development Bank itself, they'll have to do something to help North Korea develop.
All right. Well, shifting our gears a bit, we've been hearing that it's highly likely that China may subscribe half of the $100 billion capital, considering the economic size. Then how much share do you think Korea could secure?
Well, according to a lot of reports, these things are usually determined by the relative GDP sizes of the countries. And Korea right now is about 4.5 to 4.9% of the GDP. Now, advanced countries usually take a little bit more share than that. So I think we can look forward to maybe 5%, but obviously not any higher than that.
Okay, 5%. All right. Well, since the AIIB is China-led bank, and we're assuming that the president of this bank, the first president at least, will be from China, then what do you think would be the best next seat to secure for Korea?
Well, I know that Korea wants some seats in the vice president position and maybe a lot of positions in the executive board as well, more than one. But I think that is doubtful at this stage because, as I mentioned, the size of the Korean economy is only about 4.9% of the regional economy. Also, I would actually prefer, I think, a European as a vice president because there's been a lot of problems, concerns about China's transparency. And if we have a European as a vice president, then I think you can do more to guarantee transparency of policy.
All right, and more of a checkup kind of person there. Okay, well, on North Korea, we had a report coming out of a British financial news website called Emerging Markets saying that China actually refused North Korea's intention to join the AIIB, but then the Chinese Foreign Ministry said that actually it's not aware of saying anything like that. But if China did indeed reject North Korea's intention to join the AIIB, then why do you think it did that? And on the other hand, if North Korea actually first retracted its intention to join the AIIB, then why so?
Well, North Korea is not exactly a credible player in the international finance market. So they may have concerns about whether North Korea could actually provide capital and whether they could carry out projects within North Korea itself. Now, as for North Korea, if you get involved in these type of multilateral projects, then they may have to install some transparency measures for their infrastructure projects, which they may not be so excited about.
Okay. All right. Well, and I guess the final list of the AIIB founding members is actually going to be released next Wednesday.
Yeah, so they're going to have to negotiate on exactly how much share that they're going to give, and also how much voting shares, which is it's not exactly the same as capital shares. And then they'll have to decide who goes into which major positions.
All right, well, I guess we have plenty coming on our way about this topic, and we'll probably see you soon. So thanks for coming in today, and we'll be inviting you soon for this.
Thank you for having me.
And that wraps up today's broadcast of Business Daily. Hope you got a good fill of the day's business news with an Arirang edge. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.